Every time a plant struggles, the industry whispers the exact same solution. Buy another bottle, buy another chemical. But what if the ultimate secret to healing your soil and resurrecting dying plants does not come in an expensive plastic jug? What if the most powerful root stimulator on earth costs less than $2 and is probably already growing in a pot on your front porch? Today we are going to expose a forgotten biological powerhouse, a simple everyday plant so remarkably effective at rebuilding root systems and feeding soil microbes that the multi-billion-dollar fertilizer industry hopes you never learn how to use it. We have been conditioned to garden reactively. When a leaf turns yellow, we pour on nitrogen. When a plant looks weak, we buy a fresh bag of expensive potting mix. We treat our gardens like broken machines that just need replacement parts. But this endless cycle of fixing is built on a fundamental misunderstanding of how plants actually survive. We tend to think of roots as tiny straws that just suck up dirt and water, but roots do not eat soil. In fact, a plant left entirely alone in sterile dirt will slowly starve to death, no matter how much water you give it. The real magic happens in a microscopic world known as the rhizosphere. This is the living, breathing halo of soil immediately surrounding the root system. Down in the dark, billions of bacteria, fungi, and unseen microbes are working around the clock. They are the silent workforce breaking down raw organic matter, digesting it, and converting it into the precise nutrients your plant can actually absorb. Simply put, your plant does not feed itself. It relies entirely on this underground microbial army. When this living system collapses, whether from intense heat, drought, or harsh synthetic chemicals, the roots shut down. And this is where everything changes. The true power of aloe vera is not about forcing a plant to grow. It is about how this simple gel fuels and resurrects the invisible workforce hidden beneath the soil. So, what exactly is happening beneath the thick, green skin of an aloe leaf? If you were to look at aloe vera gel under a microscope, you would not just see water. You would be looking at a highly complex biological catalyst. When a plant is suffering from intense heat, or its roots have been torn open during transplanting, dumping synthetic fertilizer into the soil is the worst thing you can do. It is exactly like forcing a heavy meal onto someone who just got out of surgery. The harsh salts in the fertilizer will actually burn the damaged sensitive root tissues. Aloe vera does the exact opposite. That clear, sticky gel is packed with natural enzymes and amino acids, which are the fundamental building blocks of living tissue. More importantly, it contains specific bioactive compounds that act as an emergency biological signal. When this solution reaches the root zone, it triggers rapid stem cell division at the very tips of the roots. It physically soothes the trauma, helps seal torn cell walls, and sends a gentle hormonal signal telling the plant that it is safe to restart its water uptake. It does not force growth. It provides a safe environment for recovery. But the healing does not stop at the roots. Remember that invisible microbial army we just talked about? To thrive and multiply, soil bacteria need a constant supply of easily digestible carbon. Hard wood chips and dry dead leaves take months to break down. Aloe vera gel, however, is soft, highly porous, and deeply hydrating. It is the perfect instant food source. The moment this gel hits the rhizosphere, microbial reproduction explodes. This massive, sudden surge in beneficial bacteria accelerates the breakdown of organic matter in your soil, ultimately flooding your plant with a steady, natural supply of nutrients. So how do we actually harness this biological catalyst in our own gardens? The process takes less than 5 minutes, but precision is everything. First, harvest a thick, mature leaf from your aloe plant. Slice away the tough green skin and the sharp edges. You only want the pure, clear flesh from the inside. Drop that transparent gel into a blender and pulse it until it turns into a frothy, liquid concentrate. Now you have a potent biological tool, but you cannot just guess the measurements. You need to apply it based on exactly what your garden is going through. If you are dealing with an emergency, perhaps a plant wilting from severe heat, or a seedling struggling to survive right after being transplanted, you need the rescue formula. Mix 1 part of your aloe concentrate with 10 parts of clean water. Pour this generously around the base of the struggling plant. If your garden is relatively healthy and you simply want to feed that underground microbial army we talked about, Use the maintenance formula. Mix 1 part aloe to 20 parts water. You can apply this every few weeks to keep the soil ecosystem thriving. But listen very closely because this next step is where 90% of well-meaning gardeners make a fatal mistake. Never under any circumstances pour this aloe solution into bone-dry soil. When soil is entirely stripped of moisture, the microscopic root hairs physically shrink. They shut down their intake valves to conserve whatever water they have left. If you pour your mixture into dry dirt, the roots cannot absorb it. The liquid will simply run off the surface or sit uselessly in the dust. Before you pour, you must apply the golden rule of moisture. Dig your fingers a few inches into the dirt. It should feel like a lightly wrung-out sponge. If the soil is already slightly damp, the roots are open, breathing, and ready to absorb the treatment. And understanding that specific rule about soil moisture is exactly what prepares us for the ultimate survival test. To see why getting that soil moisture right is so critical, we need to look at the ultimate survival test. Imagine taking young, delicate tomato seedlings and moving them out into the garden in the middle of a brutal heat wave, with temperatures pushing 95 degrees Fahrenheit or 35 degrees Celsius. When delicate roots are pulled from their comfortable nursery pots and shoved into hot garden soil, the plant goes into immediate transplant shock. Let us look at a standard control group. These tomatoes are planted into appropriately damp soil, but they are only given regular water. Almost immediately, the leaves collapse. The stems go limp. The plant is fighting for its life, frantically trying to repair its torn root hairs just so it can take a single sip of water. It takes 5 grueling days for these control plants to finally stand up straight again. The stress is so severe that some of them never fully recover, their growth permanently stunted by the trauma. Now let us look at the test group. These seedlings face the exact same blistering heat, but at the moment they go into the damp earth, their root zones are soaked with the 1 to 10 aloe rescue formula we just created. Because the aloe gel is so deeply hydrating and viscous, it instantly coats the damaged root hairs in a protective, cooling barrier. The amino acids and enzymes we talked about earlier immediately begin soothing the torn tissue. The results are staggering. Instead of agonizing for 5 days, the tomatoes treated with the aloe solution regain their internal water pressure within 24 to 48 hours. The leaves firm up. The stems stand tall, defying the heat. When tracked over the following weeks, the plants supported by the aloe mixture establish their new root systems 30% faster than the control group. This is not a magic trick. This is not a miracle. This is exactly what happens when you stop forcing plants to survive on their own and start giving them the precise biological tools they are desperately asking for. So, with such undeniable evidence of success, why aren't we seeing aloe vera gel sold in every garden center in the world? Why is it that when you search for root stimulators, the results are dominated by neon-colored liquids in plastic jugs, rather than the simple leaf of a plant you can grow for free? The answer is as cold and calculated as a balance sheet. You see, the multi-billion-dollar agricultural industry is not built on your success. It is built on your dependence. They thrive when you have to return to the store every single spring to buy a new specialized chemical for every tiny problem. A bottle for transplant shock, a bottle for root growth, a bottle for microbial life, but you cannot patent a plant that grows wild in the dirt. You cannot trademark a biological process that has existed for millions of years. And most importantly, you cannot sell a subscription to a solution that a gardener can propagate on their own windowsill from a single cutting. They have spent decades bearing these traditional biological hacks under a mountain of marketing and synthetic promises. They want you to believe that nature is too weak or too slow to handle a modern garden. They want you to feel like a passive consumer, forever needing their permission and their products to grow food. But when you harvest that first aloe leaf and see your wilting tomatoes stand tall against the heat, you are doing more than just gardening. You are reclaiming your autonomy. You are shifting from a customer who buys life to a steward who creates it. By mastering the biology of this one simple plant, you are breaking the cycle of dependence and taking back the keys to your own ecosystem. The secret was never locked away in a laboratory. It was growing in the corner of your yard all along, just waiting for you to realize that you already have everything you need. As powerful as aloe vera is, it is not a magic wand that can fix a fundamentally broken garden. If your soil is as hard as concrete, stripped of oxygen, or completely lacking in organic mulch, no amount of aloe gel will save it. Biology is a partnership, not a miracle cure. Aloe vera is the spark that ignites the engine, but you still have to build the engine itself. But when you provide that basic foundation, when you give the soil air to breathe and a layer of mulch to stay cool, this simple plant becomes the most loyal ally you will ever have. It bridges the gap between a struggling plant and a thriving ecosystem. Now that you know the science, the formulas, and the reasons why this secret has been kept from you, it is time to take action. Go to that forgotten corner of your yard, harvest that first leaf, mix your first batch of rescue formula, and watch your garden respond with a vitality you have never seen before. But I want to hear from you. Have you ever used a simple, natural hack like this to save a plant that everyone else had given up on? Or perhaps you have found another forgotten botanical secret that the big industries want us to ignore? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might be the exact piece of wisdom another gardener needs to hear today. Don't forget to subscribe and join our community as we continue to reclaim the ancient biological secrets of the earth. Together, we are not just growing plants, we are growing our freedom. Thank you for watching.